Hello and welcome back to this course on working capital management. Before we look into the individual aspects of working capital management, the components, how do we manage the inventory, how do we manage the account receivable, cash or payables, we need to understand what are the metrics, how by which we measure the working capital and what are the different type of policies that will determine what are the working capital needs of the company. So let us dive into that and look at what are the operating cycle and cash cycle of the company. So the working capital does work that operating cycle means the average length of time between when a firm originally purchased its inventory and when it times it received the cash back from selling the product. So that's called operating cycle. It start from the day when you purchase your inventory on the first time, and then you sell it, and then you are able to collect the money from your customers. So that is called the operating cycle. However, the cash cycle is a bit shorter time, where it starts with when you pay for your customers, to pay your suppliers the first time until the time that you have received the money from the your customers. So cash cycle is slightly shorter compared to the operating cycle, and the difference is usually the day the day when the day you take to pay to your supplier. So if you look at it graphically, the firm buy from the inventory, and then the firm pays for the inventory, and then firm sell the product, and then firm receive the payment. So that whole thing is called accounting operating cycle, starting from the inventory until the account receivable. And then sometimes in the middle of the day, in the middle of the time, normally you have account payable. So cash is out first and then cash is in, so that is called cash cycle. The whole thing is called operating cycle. So operating cycle is generally longer, cash cycle is generally shorter, because it's offset by the account payable timings. So normally the companies are measuring how many days of cash they are able to, how many days it takes for them to generate the cash for the company, so that they can understand how many days of working capital they actually require and how much is it. So let's take an example how you can record, how you can convert it. So cash conversion cycle basically is inventory days plus account receivable days minus account payable days. That is how we calculate the inventory days. So inventory days is calculated by inventory divided by average daily cost of goods sold. Average receivable days is calculated by account receivable divided by average daily sales. Account payable is calculated by account payable divided by average daily cost of goods sold. Here average daily cost of goods sold or average daily sales is the total, not just only the credit sale, or not just only the, well, actually it should be the credit sale only, because you are you are paying actually account receivable days means your credit sale divided by the average receivable. That will help us to understand how many days of sale is outstanding and how many days usually it takes, how many days of credit sale is outstanding in the cash, because cash you receive immediately anyways. However, since the companies the credit sale and cash sale ratio is not always the same, in order to maintain the consistency, we use total sales, average daily sales, so that there is a consistency, and it takes care of the increasing component or decreasing component of credit sale to the total sales. So that is how these are the formulas. Let us look at an example to explain the cash conversion cycle a little bit more. So you have this data from Apple in 2015. The data is in millions of dollars. So their sale was $233 million. Cost of goods sold was $140 million. Account receivable was $16 million. Inventory was $2 million. Account payable was $35 million. So our task is to calculate how much is the cash conversion cycle for Apple. So the first we do is we need to understand the uh, days, number of inventory days. So if we need to calculate inventory days, we need to calculate account receivable days and account payable days. To do that, we need to calculate the average daily sales first. So which we have calculated here, 233 divided by 365. average daily cost of sales, the total sales, then it's 383, and then we will be able to calculate the individual days. So here is the individual days. Inventory days are 6.12, account receivable is 26.31, account payable days is 92. I recommend you to do it by yourself in your calculator so that it's easy for you to understand. Otherwise, it will become difficult, right? So then we will do is we will calculate inventory days plus account receivable days, that is 6 plus 26 minus 92. So that is minus 60.04. Now, what does it signifies? It signifies that Apple has not invested any money into its working capital. It's actually getting financed from the suppliers, right? Because that is evident from the total value here, which you can see here that the company's investment into account receivable is 16 million, inventory is 2 million, but it get a financing of an accounting payable by 35 millions. So it shows that company has used its supplier money, so it's able to convert the inventory much faster than it pays to pay to the supplier. And if you look at from the days, how many days it takes 92 days to pay the supplier. So if you put that on the chart here, on the cash conversion cycle chart, firm buys inventory, it takes 90 days before they pay. So account payable is much more, but before 90 days it takes only 6 days from the date of purchase for the inventory to be used. So it's doing the inventory super fast. And then the collection is even faster. Collection days are only how many days? It's about 26 days only. So the inventory is turned very fast, and then within 26 days Apple is able to receive its cash. So total 32 days, but it pays the supplier in 92 days. So means the supplier is waiting for the payment while the Apple has already received the inventory 3 times. They have received 3 times of the three times before they pay to the supplier. So they are actually managing their working capital very well, right? It depends on the business model of the company, how they have structured their business model, how the Apple is able to do this. They are able to do this because they don't hold the inventory. They ask suppliers to hold the inventory, right? Because they have assembly plants in China, in India, in Taiwan, and they are buying the material from them. So it means they are not holding the inventory. Suppliers are holding the inventory for them, right? What they do is whenever they need it, they just get it shipped to their stores, and then normally you will see in real life Apple, there is a queue outside the Apple stores, and then it's sold immediately. It doesn't take too much time. Account receivable days, definitely, ideally, Apple is selling to the telecom operators or to the third-party stores. They might be paying them slightly with a delay, so the average is only 26 days, which is quite fast. But they are not paying. They are because Apple is a huge company and they have huge cash reserve. They are compromising with their suppliers to wait for 92 days, which is fairly long time. So that is called the cash conversion cycle. I hope you learned it. Thank you very much.